question that. How do you deal with questioning the manufacturer or whoever authored that SDS where they came up with the data? Do you get into debates? Let's put it.
Oh, I never get into a debate. I usually win. It's the old adage, speak softly and carry a big stick comes into play here. And I use the acronym PETA, pain in the, you can figure out the A. And I am considered one of the biggest PETAs when it comes down to safety data sheet, I think, in the industry. Uh, there, I have had an example where a company said, look, this product is hazardous, and it wasn't. And I said, you're making my clients have to wear all this stuff. Why are you calling it hazardous? Well, we think it might do this, that, or the other. I said, okay, then you have to ship it as hazardous. And you know that's going to cost you more money. And they come back and said, oh, let's change the SDS to reflect what it really is. So that was one where they made it more hazardous. There's the example we just said, a pH of 2 or 1.5. And it's like you have to make it hazardous. And if you know what you're looking at, I talk to the manufacturer, the distributor, not often, maybe once every 2 years, every 3 years. But those are the conversations I have. And I'll call and say, I need to talk to someone knowledgeable about your SDS. And almost always they're willing to change. Very rarely will I say, okay, if you're not going to change, I will let OSHA or the state plan OSHA know what's going on, and then they change. I probably have had to use that line twice in the last 30 years. And,
That's great.
so yes, I do talk to them when I know something's wrong. And I think that is the ethical thing to do.
That's great to hear because, again, not everyone would be like that. It's almost like accounting. Are you trying to get away with your taxes and underreporting or finding the loopholes that you can get away with? It's there like everything else with regulations. It's good to have a good tax advisor, and in our case, good EHS professionals that can, again, debate with you and get
That's why
you.
people come to you. They come to me.
Exactly. And they come to you. Exactly. So this is where the gray areas and the hope for this podcast and what we plan to do with this is get into those gray areas. And it's not always black and white like the regulations will have you believe. This is why I think it's great to talk to subject matter experts such as yourself. Being in the real world trenches, I think that's very helpful to anyone listening and paying attention out there. So, related to this, waste disposal instructions on SDSs. What do you find out there in the real world?
Well, I find them pretty much useless, to put it bluntly. But when it comes down to waste disposal, you and I both are part of the Alliance of Hazardous Material Professionals, and they align themselves with the Institute of Hazardous Material Managers, who are the keepers of the Certified Hazardous Material Manager (CHMM) designation. And when you have that designation, it is implied that you understand hazardous materials, and there's a lot of focus on hazardous waste. When you look at a component, when you look at a mixture, there are guidelines from EPA to tell you how to dispose of something. The safety data sheet, the waste disposal is an optional section. The generic line is follow all local and federal regulations. Good, that helps me a lot. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. And but it just comes down to get somebody that can make an informed decision based upon the information you have there. And I used to run a treatment, storage, and disposal facility and vowed I would never do EPA work again. And probably about 30% of my work is doing EPA and looking at waste and figuring out how do we dispose of it safely and legally. And I always put safe first before legal.
Excellent. So, in the role of the SDS, does it play any part in building design for architects that need to know how many different categories of hazardous materials are going to be stored in a facility? Where does an SDS come into that?
So if you ever get into building design, there are different building classifications and how much of different hazardous